Hi, I'm Jeanette Larsen from Growth Unlimited, and I'm your host for this video. This is the second video in our series of how to take control of your life. In this video, we're going to talk about how not to be a victim. Check out our playlist on how to take control of your life, and you'll find this series in that file. Okay, there are actually 5 steps that you can use to not be a victim, and we're going to talk about those briefly today. First of all, accept responsibility for the choices and actions that you take. It is your responsibility to make change in your life. It is not the responsibility of other people to supply your needs and your wants. That is your responsibility. If you focus on getting somebody else to supply the things that you need, you place yourself in the role of being a victim, because one of the things that happens when you are looking to other people to satisfy your needs and wants is you're bound by their rules and regulations in terms of what those needs and wants are and what they supply to you. People that I talk to run into a hard time with this. They don't like having other people tell them the way they have to live and what they have to do. And yet, in our society today, we have far too many people who are reaching out to ask organizations or other people to pay their way. If you're in a position of believing that it is the responsibility of the government, for example, to provide an education or health care to you, or if you live in states where there are movements where the government is proposing plans to supply housing to people, or you're one of the people that's struggling financially as a result of the pandemic, and you're looking forward to that next governmental stimulus check, just be aware that when those things occur, there are going to be things, even if they happen down the line, that are going to require you to pay for that service. And you need to be willing to, you need to be aware that you are going to pay the piper, and that there are things that are going to come into play that are going to make that happen. And check your value system. See if that's something you're willing to live with, and if it's not, find another way to solve the problem. Okay, number 2. If you don't want to be a victim, stop blaming people and trying to find fault with others. Over the last several months, we have had many situations where people differ in their opinion on how certain occurrences in the world are happening. But what I'm seeing happen overall is that there's a lot of looking around trying to point fingers at certain countries or certain political representatives or certain people who are being blamed for things that were far bigger than they were, that they probably had no control over. And the idea is that this one person didn't do anything to stop the problem, and so it's their fault that it happened. And this seemed really unrealistic to me. First of all, every single one of us, including all of these leaders, are just simply human beings. There are limits to what we're able to do, and there are situations that occur that if we focus on trying to blame somebody for it and not taking responsibility that we need to take in order to deal with the situation, we're wasting our time. And we've actually seen situations where the problem has gotten worse, particularly with the pandemic, because there was, and one of the reasons I think that's the case is that we have been focusing on trying to figure out who it was that was at fault. At this point, does it really matter who was at fault? Or is what matters focusing on what we need to do to solve the problem so that we can get back to normal. That's something else in terms of taking responsibility we need to be aware of. There are people, myself included, who believe that the world will never get back to what we perceive as normal. The changes and the things that have occurred have been too big. And rather than going back to what we were before this pandemic, we are actually looking at the evolution of society and of the world, and the things that are going to be happening in the future may be drastically different from what we call normal. So we're creating a new normal, and taking the responsibility to embrace that new normal is something that will allow us to recover more quickly and move forward more quickly. Okay, number 3, shift your focus on how to change the situation and how to effectively change it, because effectiveness is a key to all of these things. Too much of the time we do things that make us feel better temporarily, but have no real long-lasting effect on making the changes that need to happen. And so make sure your changes that you choose to do, the behaviors you choose to engage in, are going to be effective in what you're doing. Otherwise, how are you taking control of your life? If you're spinning your wheels and going nowhere, there's no control. Okay, and shift your focus. Be willing to address things that may be a little different for you to look at. A case in point. In California today, there's a lot of struggle talking about how we're going to educate our children with the new reality that we're living in. The situation is such that experts in science, as well as the leaders that we've chosen to elect, have stated that they don't want to see schools opening again this fall. On the other hand, families are going, what am I going to do? I have been used to counting on the school system to help provide child care as well as education for my children. I'm now at a point where I'm looking at going back to work, and I need that school in place so I have child care, as well as my children need that school in place for the social experiences that they need to develop properly, and they need an education. Okay, all of these things are true. However, there is more than one way to skin a cat. And if you are taking responsibility, you're going to be open to looking at different ways and then actively involved in achieving them. Okay, and number 4, avoid the me first syndrome if you don't want to be a victim. People have a tendency, over the last 50 to 100 years, our society has evolved until a certain faction of our society in particular are noted for being the me generation. These are people who have grown up being taught by society that their needs are paramount and are more important than anybody else's. Now, everyone's needs are important, and the movement that started this has actually just gone overboard. In the process of teaching people that they are important and that what they need and want matters, we've kind of gone way beyond that, and now we've developed a sense of entitlement in these people, and they have a tendency to look to other people for what they want instead of focusing on getting it for themselves. Everyone has needs, and there are times that everyone needs help. But if we don't have the responsibility and the accountability to continue to struggle to supply our own needs, and we tend to sit back and just wait for somebody else or a government or an organization to handle them, then we don't move forward in taking control of our lives. Okay, and then The fifth thing is to identify what needs to be done and then follow that up with making the changes that are necessary. Focus on what you can do right now, given the level of personal power that you have. Don't focus on the past. There's nothing you can do to change what happened in the past. And if you spend your time focusing on what you want to see happen in the future, you don't take care of current business, and that future can never happen. Also, if you are focusing on what can be done right now, then it's easier to step in and take the action. If you focus on something you can do in the future, you can get off into a lot of dreaming, and nothing ever seems to end up occurring. Now, dreaming is different than planning. When you focus on the here and now, and you are focusing on what you can do today, that naturally leads into being able to plan what it is you're going to do tomorrow, and you can remain having that focus there as long as the attention you're paying is directed on what you're doing today, with the awareness in the back of your mind that there are other things that are in place that you can do tomorrow, but you focus on the present. And another aspect of focusing on the present is understanding what your personal power limits are. Every one of us have different levels of personal power, what we can actually achieve, what difference we can make. And many people have a tendency, if their own current personal power is not adequate to go about trying to achieve what they want to do and get the results that they want immediately, they just simply say, well, I have no control, I can't do anything about it, and they back off, and that places them in a victim role. So, to avoid being in the victim role, what you need to do is, first of all, decide what you can do, and do it. And in the process, continue working on building your skills to gain more personal power. So the next time this situation comes around, because it will, the next time this situation comes around, you have more ability, you have more skills, you have more power. And so you may not have to resort to the less effective methods that you can use today given your current personal power, because you're going to have more advanced skills that will allow you to more effectively handle things in the future. But if you don't engage in what you can do today, you're just simply relegating yourself back to the role of being a victim. Okay, try these things. And if this video was helpful, please share it with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube station. That way you'll get notification of new episodes as they come. Growth Unlimited's mission is to help you have your life your way. We want to help you take control of your life so that you live the life you've dreamed of, that you deserve. We have a proprietary program that helps you do just that. Check us out by visiting our website and take our free assessment to see how we can help you.